Oh, so ready for this. We're going deep on 3 Days of the Condor.
Ooh, okay.
It's a 70s spy thriller, but it really kind of turns the whole genre on its head. Like
Interesting.
forget your suave James Bond types.
Right.
This is about a CIA analyst, codenamed Condor, who he finds his whole office like murdered,
Wow.
and suddenly he's the one running for his life.
Yeah.
We we've got this really cool movie review that digs into like how the film portrays espionage.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to, kind of unpack all this with you.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start because what really grabs you about 3 Days of the Condor is how it just throws you right into the action.
Yeah.
There's no time wasted. The film just establishes the stakes immediately, Like this is the Cold War. Paranoia is at its peak.
Uh-huh.
Nobody can be trusted.
Yeah. It really is like the ultimate wrong place, wrong time
Yeah.
situation. Right. Our main character, Joe Turner, is just this bookish analyst.
Right.
More comfortable with like espionage in theory,
Yeah.
than in actual practice.
Exactly. And the review makes this point that the film, it really contrasts him with the typical Hollywood spy.
Yeah.
Turner, he's not some like gadget-wielding, martini-sipping agent.
Right.
He's an ordinary guy who's suddenly thrust into this extraordinary situation.
Yeah.
And he's forced to adapt,
Yeah.
to think on his feet just to survive.
I think that's like what makes it so relatable. It makes you wonder, like, how would you react
Yeah,
if
totally.
if your world suddenly turned upside down like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the review, it touches on that, like it argues that, the real power of the film is in this exploration of the psychology and the moral burdens of espionage. The
Yeah.
way it kind of strips away all that glamour, and reveals this raw, this unsettling reality beneath.
And speaking of unsettling, let's talk about Joubert for a second.
Yeah.
The assassin, the one hunting Kerner.
Right.
The review describes him as like this chillingly efficient professional.
Yeah.
Almost like a surgeon, like in his precision.
Yeah, and that's where the film's moral complexity really comes through,
Okay.
Because Joubert, he's not driven by ideology or even hatred.
Yeah.
For him, it's really just a job.
Wow.
There's this scene that the review mentions
Okay.
where Joubert, he meticulously cleans up this crime scene,
All right.
wiping down every surface,
Jeez.
removing every trace of himself.
Wow.
It's this cold detachment
Right.
that makes him so terrifying.
It's like he erased a life,
Right.
with the same like methodical care, somebody might use to dust a bookshelf.
Yeah.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
It makes you think about like the nature of spy work,
Yep.
Like where does personal morality fit in, right?
Right.
When your job demands that kind of calculated detachment.
Yeah. And if that wasn't bad enough, the film it throws this other curveball.
Yeah.
The CIA itself like becomes this shadowy antagonist.
Oh, wow.
Turner, he realizes that he can't even trust his own agency.
Right.
His superiors, they're willing to sacrifice him
Jeez.
just to protect their secrets.
That's right. And the review really, it emphasizes how 3 Days of the Condor, it blurs the lines,
Okay.
between good and bad, between hero and villain.
Yeah.
It forces you to confront this uncomfortable truth,
Yeah.
that even the people who are tasked with protecting us
Right.
can be corrupted by power.
Oh, man. Talk about a recipe for paranoia, right?
I know.
The film really, it really captures that feeling of being trapped
Yeah.
in a web of deceit,
Uh-huh.
like constantly looking over your shoulder,
Yeah.
never knowing who to trust.
That feeling of paranoia, it's really central to the film's exploration of espionage.
Right.
It highlights this the isolation and the psychological toll that comes with working in the shadows.
Yeah.
Like Turner, he ends up having to rely on this civilian Kathy Hale
Oh, right.
for help.
Yeah.
Which further isolates him from the world he knew,
Right. It really makes you wonder if anyone can truly escape the reach of these intelligence agencies once they've been pulled into their orbit.
Yeah. And that's the thing about this movie, right? It's not just some glamorous action flick.
Right.
3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that working in the shadows, it comes with a price.
Yeah.
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 Like isolation, a loss of trust,
Right. Yeah.
like just a warped perception of the world.
The review actually quotes this line from Turner that really stuck with me. He says, "What is it with you people? You think not getting caught in a lie is the same as telling the truth."
Oh, wow.
And it
Yeah.
just like perfectly sums up the moral grayness of this world.
It does. And the review, it argues that the film's portrayal of Kathy Hale, the civilian that Turner pulls into his world,
Right.
it further emphasizes this point.
Yeah.
Because she represents this intrusion of espionage,
Yeah.
into everyday life.
Right. Right.
This collateral damage
Yeah.
that these covert operations they inflict on innocent people.
It's like she's, like a mirror for the audience.
Yeah.
Right. Reflecting our own potential vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
in the face of these hidden forces.
Totally.
It makes you think, like, how would I handle that kind of pressure?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could I even tell who to trust?
The review really praises the film, for its ability to evoke this sense of unease
Yeah.
in the viewer.
Right.
It's not just about the action or the plot twists.
No.
Right.
It's about the psychological impact
Mm-hmm.
of being caught in this web of secrets and deception.
Yeah. And it's not just, Kathy, right?
Right.
The film also shows the toll it takes on Turner himself.
Yeah.
He starts out, like this relatively idealistic analyst.
Right.
But as the movie goes on, you can see how the violence and betrayal start to wear him down.
Yeah, absolutely. The review, it talks about how Turner's transformation,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reflects this dehumanizing nature of espionage.
Okay.
Like the way it forces you to compromise your values
Right.
and become something that you never thought you could be.
Yeah, there's this one scene, I think, that really drives that point home,
Okay.
where Turner, like desperate to find answers, he breaks into this colleague's apartment.
Wow.
And he's like rifling through personal belongings,
Right.
invading someone's privacy without a second thought.
Yeah, the review points out that that's a pivotal moment for Turner's character.
He's crossing a line.
Right.
And it's clear that he's wrestling with the consequences of his actions.
It's like the more deeply he gets pulled into this world, the further he has to distance himself from the person he used to be.
Right.
And
that kind of brings us to the central question the film poses, right?
All right.
Like, does the pursuit of national security, does it justify the sacrifices it demands?
Wow.
Wow. Are the ends truly worth the means?
That's the real gut punch, isn't it?
Right.
3 Days of the Condor. It doesn't give you easy answers.
No.
It leaves you grappling with these moral complexities of espionage.
Yeah.
Long after the credits roll.
Exactly. And the film's brilliance, it lies in that,
Okay.
in its refusal to offer this simplistic good versus evil narrative.
Right.
It challenges us to consider, the nuances of these situations, the difficult choices that individuals within these systems have to make.
Right. And that's what makes it so relevant, I think, even today.
Totally.
It's not just some Cold War thriller.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale about the potential for corruption and the abuse of power
Right.
that exists within any system, really,
Yeah.
especially those that are operating in the shadows.
Yeah, the review, it makes this point that 3 Days of the Condor, it's a film that stays with you, It prompts you to question the information you're given.
Yeah.
To question the motives of those in power.
Right.
And the systems that govern our lives.
It's like a wake-up call,
Totally.
reminding us that we can't just blindly accept the narratives we're fed.
Right.
We need to be informed, critical thinkers, always asking questions,
Yeah.
always seeking the truth. Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, how much of what we see, in the news, in international politics,
Right.
it's shaped by these, hidden agendas and power struggles,
Yeah, well.
just like in 3 Days of the Condor,
Yeah.
where the truth is constantly being, like, manipulated and twisted.
That's a question the review really wants us to think about,
Yeah.
does understanding this potential darkness within intelligence agencies
Right.
change how we view, real world events?
Yeah.
It certainly adds another layer of complexity to things.
Right.
Makes you question the motives behind the headlines.
Absolutely. And the film does such a brilliant job, I think, of showing how easily information can be, manipulated.
Yeah.
How truth can just become a casualty in the pursuit of power.
Right.
It's a sobering thought,
Yeah.
but an important one.
The review argues that 3 Days of the Condor, it's not just a thriller.
Right.
It's a call to awareness. It's an invitation to look beyond the surface,
Mm-hmm.
to question the narratives that we're given, and to engage critically with the world around us.
And to remember that the choices that are made in the shadows,
Mm-hmm.
the compromises that are accepted in the name of security,
Right.
they have real world consequences,
Yeah.
just like in the film,
Mhm.
where those consequences, they ripple outward,
Right.
impacting not just the spies,
Yeah.
but innocent bystanders as well.
That's the lasting impact of 3 Days of the Condor.
Yeah.
It reminds us that these aren't just, abstract concepts.
Right.
They're real life dilemmas with human costs.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to consider how we as individuals, navigate a world
Right.
where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred.
So what's the takeaway here?
Yeah.
What can we learn from this deep dive into 3 Days of the Condor?
I think the film and this review offer a powerful reminder that we can't just be passive consumers of information. We need to be engaged citizens, questioning assumptions, seeking multiple perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
holding those in power accountable.
Well said. It's about recognizing that potential for corruption,
Yeah.
it exists everywhere.
Right.
And that vigilance, critical thinking,
Yeah.
and a healthy dose of skepticism
Right.
are essential tools for navigating our complex world.
Exactly. And 3 Days of the Condor, even though it's, set in the 70s,
Right.
it offers this timeless lesson in that regard.
Yeah.
It's a film that continues to resonate
Uh-huh.
because it speaks to these fundamental truths about power, secrecy, and the human condition.
So if you haven't seen 3 Days of the Condor, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a gripping thriller.
It is.
But
Mhm.
but more importantly,
Mm.
it's a film that will make you think,
Yeah.
make you question,
Right.
and perhaps even see the world a little differently.
Absolutely.
And we always love hearing your thoughts. So feel free to share your own takeaways from the film
Mm-hmm.
or the review.
Absolutely. We encourage you to keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
To delve deeper into these themes and to never stop questioning the narratives you're given.
Mhm.
After all, that's what the deep dive is all about.